Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week. And this week we're talking about obstacle or opportunity. We get to choose. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this quote this week, and it is this: "There is good in everything if we look for it," said Laura Ingalls Wilder. Now, most of you probably don't remember Little House on the Prairie, but those shows were based on her books. And if there's one TV show that I can think of as growing up that always brought it back around to the good, it was Little House on the Prairie. Truth be told, wasn't really my favorite show, but there was always something good in the story. It was a good, wholesome show, particularly in today's standards. But that quote led me to think about things that have happened to me over the past couple weeks. 3 things have brought me to this tip today. Number 1, I spoke with a parent not too long ago about a player who was not happy on her summer team. It just wasn't what she expected. The coach wasn't what she expected. Things aren't going as she expected. They weren't complaining, but things weren't going as they were expected, and she wasn't performing well. Obstacles. The second thing that got me thinking about this, I was listening to Lewis Howes' The School of Greatness podcast, and he had a guest on named Inky Johnson. And Inky was a Tennessee football player. He was a defensive back, went up, put a hit on a guy from Air Force in just a normal, routine game. And all of a sudden, he couldn't feel his body. The guys were like, get up, get up. He's like, I can't. He said he had like shooting pain from his head all the way down to his feet. Well, he found out that he had ripped an artery in his chest. He had done something to his brachial plexus. I'm not a doctor. I don't really know what all that means. But what I do know is this, that he no longer has use of his arm. It's totally paralyzed. It never came back. And he went through all kinds of things to try to get it there. To the Mayo Clinic, you can imagine at an SEC school what they do to try to get their players back. He had dreams of the NFL dashed on that day. The third thing that brought me to this was hit even closer to home. I thought I was texting my son's baseball coach, and I actually texted my cousin's wife, Jamie. Both same name. Coach named Jamie, cousin named Jamie. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, oh, you don't care that Jensen's not coming to his game? But we went on to talk. We ended up talking, and Jamie and my cousin, John Paul, have just taken in the oldest son of my late cousin, Lisa, who died about 5 years ago of leukemia. Because her husband actually just died a few months ago. So Lisa's boys don't have any parents. So the oldest boy is staying with John Paul and Jamie. The youngest boy is staying with my amazing 80-year-old uncle. Unbelievable story, right? Hardship after hardship after hardship with his family. But in this conversation, in the conversation with the parent, in the listening of the podcast, it really got me thinking about, what do we do with obstacles? What do we do with obstacles? What we normally do with obstacles in this day and age is we run from them. We try to protect our kids so they don't have any obstacles because we don't want them to have to face hardship. We try to work our way around it as much as possible. But what should we really be doing with obstacles? What should the parents that want their kids to play somewhere else because things aren't going the way they thought they would go do? We spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get ourselves out of problems. But we get to choose. We get to choose whether it's an obstacle or an opportunity. Inky Johnson turned it into an opportunity. He did not get to play in the NFL like he wanted to. He grew up in poverty, wanted to take care of his mother and take care of his family. He turned his obstacle into something amazing. And what his question was to himself was this: not what did I lose, but what have I gained in this situation? And then in talking with Jamie and my cousin's family, they look at this as an opportunity to change the lives of my cousin Lisa's kids because she can't do it herself anymore. They had to change what their life looked like. No more empty nest, different financial concerns. The youngest son has issues, so it's going to be there are going to be issues as time goes on. And that takes some coming around to. And it could be an obstacle in life, depending how we look at it. But the question is, what can we learn? How can we grow? What can we contribute through our obstacles? In The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday states, and let me see if I can find it here, that he says that we don't grow unless there is an obstacle. The obstacle is actually the advantage. It's our perception of the obstacle that keeps us from understanding that that is what we need. And he also says there are a three-pronged thing that we need to do to get over it, or to get through them, and to work to our peak performance. Number one, and of course I can't find my numbers, here they are. How we look at obstacles or our problems matter, our attitude and our approach. How are we going to react to it? What are we going to do? What's the meaning that we give to this? Think about it. A tennis player hits a shot. The shot goes wide. It's out of bounds, right? On the other side of the line. The player that hit the shot thinks it's terrible. The player that's receiving the shot thinks it's awesome. The umpire that's calling the shot doesn't care, just says out. Because according to the rules of the game, it's out. It's a point for the other guy. One shot, three perspectives. So what's our perspective on what's ahead of us? The kid who doesn't like the team, how can her perspective shift? What can she do to keep growing? Inky Johnson had to change his perspective on what he thought his life was going to look like. He even said if he would be in the NFL, he probably would just have faded off into the sunset after he retired, after a few years of playing. The perspective that my cousins have on this opportunity changes the way they approach it and the way they love and the way they take care of their family. And it changes everybody in their family, not just them, not just the boys that they're taking in. Everyone. Our perception. How we change how we look at it. How will that affect our situation? Number two, after we decide what our attitude is for it, we need to determine how hard we're going to work to turn things into opportunities. How much energy and creativity are we going to throw at it? The questions there are, what opportunities can help me grow in this? I already said it. How can we contribute? How can we learn? What is there to be learned in this situation? Not why is this happening, but what is this doing for me? Not what did this take away from me, but what have I gained in this situation? The third thing is that we must continue to maintain the will to accept defeat, not as something that we're like happy about, but to understand that that's part of life and let it sharpen us to the point that we say, yes, this happened, and the meaning I give it is going to make all the difference in the world. Where is my growth opportunity here? These are the questions that we need to ask when we come up against opportunities. Not, how do I get out of this? How do I find another team? How do I change this so my players are happy? Or whatever it might be. Teaching and understanding that the obstacle is the way. It's the name of the book. The Obstacle is the Way. Great book. The kid on the team, the guy with the paralyzed arm, the family that's raising bonus children, all can look at these things as obstacles or as something that's disheartening or something that's frustrating, and we're all going to have these things. Those three things don't seem like they're similar. They all have different levels of but they are similar because every single person in these situations gets to choose. They get to choose how they react to what's happening to them. We have the responsibility. The response ability. What is our response? That is the question. And then Helen Keller says, the struggle of life is one of our greatest blessings. Now, I'm not saying we run out and say, let's struggle. Yes, this is going to be awesome. But we know we're going to struggle. That's a part of life. We are going to struggle. We've all struggled. We're going to lose. We're going to get our butts kicked. We are going to be frustrated. We are going to think we're limited. All these things are going to happen. But in that, in every phase of life, there is good. What is this teaching us? What can we gain from it? It's our perspective. Is the ball that's out good, bad, or is it just is? Is it what it is? Those are the questions that we need to ask. Until next week, don't forget to sign up for the July 12th coaching seminar. It's free. There's a link in the article here. You can go to ssbperformance.com/workshops and you can sign up there as well. Until next week, manage the moments, all of them, good, bad, indifferent. We apply meaning to everything. We apply meaning to everything. The shot means nothing except what we give it. Have a great week.